Rockhopper here, and I've just discovered a very fun and funky gallery out here in the Arizona desert. Hello.
Hi.
I'd like a drink, please.
How about I have vodka and cranberry juice?
Sounds great.
Okay. Thank you, magic.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
This is Susan, and this is Bonnie. And this is Katrina Waves. She's part of the Witless Protection Program and didn't want us to see her face. Say hi, Katrina.
Hi.
I'm here with Bonnie, who's the owner of the Courtyard Gallery, and she's going to tell us a little bit about the place. So tell us, how did you come up with the idea to do all this out here?
Well, I didn't come up with an idea, it just happened. My husband, the reason we ended up in this part of Arizona is my husband and I are private pilots, and there's an air park, a private air park in Salome, and we lived there for about 10 years and flew all over Arizona. And after all the flying, and I did everything I wanted with the house and the yard, I wanted something a little more creative to do. And so I had a girlfriend who lived down the road here that had a little cafe, and I spent a lot of time there, and I kept noticing people pulling over and taking pictures of these big, huge saguaro cactuses. So I wandered down there one day, and I was looking at this beat-up old 1930-something motel. Well, I asked about it, and I learned the woman that lived here had died, and her niece was down here, and she was trying to sell it. So I talked to her, and the property was cheap, and I thought, well, I could rent one of the little buildings and make a studio for myself. So I told my husband what I was going to do, and he thought I was nuts, but I did it anyway. And I was about a year into renovation, and we had a 100-year flood. And the whole place got flooded, some buildings worse than others. And I was devastated, but my husband came down, started throwing open doors, dragging things out of buildings. What are you doing? Well, we got to dry it out. So that's what we did. And in the process of cleaning everything up, I just got carried away. Pretty soon I was, we were replumbing, rewiring, hanging sheetrock, and instead of just a studio, before I knew it, I had an art gallery. And the art gallery kept getting bigger and bigger, and there's lots of wonderful artists in the area. Very creative people, very interesting people. And so they just kind of drifted towards the gallery, and before I knew it, I had all kinds of local artists and people. This is Highway 60, and people get tired of riding on I-10, and they'll come from California, and they'll get off the freeway, come down 60, go from 60 into Phoenix, 60 into Prescott, 60 into Flagstaff. Well, gotta get off 60 here in Flagstaff, but it's the back roads anyway. And we get a lot of traffic. We get a lot of repeat traffic. People from California, people coming the other way from Sedona, Prescott, Phoenix. And so everybody asks, what are you doing out here in the middle of nowhere? And I don't know, it just happened, and we love it. I've been here for over 10 years. And a lot of art galleries don't last that long, but we're going strong. It gets better every year. Fortunately, I have some good help. Girls that actually live here in exchange for, they live for free and work in the gallery for fun. It's pretty nice. It's good for them, good for me.
And Susan told me a story about how she found you. She was just out here and she just said, hey, I want to live here, right? Tell me a little bit about that story.
Well, Susan was down here with her husband and they were looking for a place to rent because his parents were down here for the winter. And they stopped at the grocery store down the road, the Sloan Market, and the gal told them, well, you know, there's this old motel being renovated down there. Maybe they have a place to rent. Susan walked in, and the first thing she said was, I want to live here. And she's been here ever since. She comes back every year. So often she brings down a couple of horses and enjoys her horses while she's her days off. And has a good time. She just keeps coming back.
Yeah, because she goes up north in the summer when it's hot down here.
She has a ranch in Madras, Oregon. She's terrific. Sweetest person you'd ever want to meet. And
we are going to meet her because I'm going to talk to her in just a little bit.
Good.
Now tell me about this story. There's a rumor that Humphrey Bogart stayed here for a while or filmed here. Do you know anything about that?
Well, it's only a rumor. That this old guy that has been around this area forever, I think he was raised here, said that once upon a time when this motel was still functioning, and I'm sure it was many years ago, they filmed a scene in a Humphrey Bogart movie in one of the buildings in the motel. He showed me which one it was, and he said he was, you know, hiding out from the authorities, and they filmed I don't think it was a very big piece, but part of the movie, and I've never been able to find any kind of authentication, but it's a good story. We were part of Yuma County until the mid-'80s, I think it was. So there's not even any records of that old motel. No records whatsoever. They think they probably got burned up in a fire that Yuma had at one time. So I can't even find any pictures from the old days. It'd be interesting to find out.
And you think this motel was built around early 1930s?
In the 30s.
Somewhere.
Yeah, I know that for pretty certain. And I have a friend that owns another motel down in Siloam, and it's built along the same lines with the same sorts of floors and walls and that same kind of construction. And I think his is around 1940, and I'm sure this one was earlier. So, yeah.
And when you first saw this place, as you were saying earlier, it was in pretty bad shape, right? I mean, you really had your work cut out for you, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
But you are an artist, and you've done a great job of making this place look really good. And so, you know, you can see that you've really brought this place, anybody can see that this place has really been brought back to life. And you and the other artists and whoever else is just a part of this whole thing. So it's quite a nice transformation. And I mean, it was basically just bare bones nothingness, right? When you saw it.
It was a beat up old motel that had holes in the stucco, and the wiring was old and had to be replaced. It was a lot to do. But the fun part after that basic stuff was done was painting it. You know, it was fun to put colors on it because the desert is kind of bland, so it kind of brightens up your life. And you know, there's so much positive energy in this area with the people that are around and everything. I first I'm basically from Western Washington, where I was born and raised, and it can be pretty gloomy and closed in with all the pines and the firs and the underbrush, and came to the desert and wide open spaces, and it was just gorgeous. I fell in love immediately, and I don't ever want to leave. And it's just fascinating, just the things that grow. And I always say the desert is protective of itself. It either bites you, stings you, poisons you. You know, it's just, everything is there taking care of itself. I think that's just wonderful.
And you did pretty much on these exterior walls and all the little paintings, you did all that.
I painted everything. I painted the walls. I painted any art you find on the walls. I had a great time. I like to paint. Even with a roller on a wall, I like to paint.
Well, I should have met you earlier. I could have put you to work painting my house.
Yeah, right. No, I just like to do it for myself.
I'm just joking.
And then Carly came along. She was introduced to me by another artist friend, and she came from Ritzville, Washington, and she's done a lot of retail her whole life. And so she was a godsend. She knows retail. And I'm just, kind of flounder around with it. So she does her Facebook page. She does promotion. She knows how to display. She can do it all. It's wonderful to have her. If I want to get up and leave, I can trust that everything's going to be taken care of. So I'm a lucky girl. One day, we're sitting around in the gallery, and this fellow comes along. He does freelance work for Arizona Highways magazine, and he was going around the country, around Arizona, looking at old motels to see what people have done with them. And he happened across us and thought it was pretty cool that we were actually in an art gallery. So he took pictures and submitted his story to the magazine, and it's going to be in I think it was, come out in May for the June issue.
So the article should be in the June issue of Arizona Highways.
Yes.
That looks like a fun little trailer. Let's go inside and have a look. Hey, that's me, the happy camper. It's a nice, cute little place in here. Wouldn't mind having this, right? When you come inside what was the motel room, you can see all kinds of artwork. And just generally fun stuff. That sounds pretty true. What do you think? There's all kinds of stuff in this place. You could spend some time here looking at all this artwork. There's some crazy, good, creative stuff. I mean, really wild stuff. Fun stuff. Happy stuff. Weird stuff. Quirky stuff. Bizarre stuff. Yeah, it's all here. Lots of stuff. That's what it looks like when a Coors can gets a hangover. You've probably heard of shoe trees. Well, this is a lamp tree from a bunch of old lamps. I'm here with Susan, and she's one of the artists here, and she's going to tell us a little about this place and how she ended up here, and maybe a little more than that. So Susan, tell me about your artwork, and tell me how you ended up here in the middle of nowhere, basically.
Okay. Well, I've been here for 13 years. I showed up before Bonnie had finished the gallery, when she was in the early stages, and she was painting on the walls when I met her, I was looking for a place to live, and I'm a painter. And I just rolled in one day, and she rented me a little casita. And after a couple of years, we opened up the gallery, and I've been a sidewalk painter ever since.
And what type of painting is your preferred type, and what is your favorite medium?
Okay, I paint in oil, preferably. I do a little bit of acrylic for, people traveling, fast stuff that they can take with them, that sort of thing. But, I prefer to paint in oil. I paint with a knife, and I either do a brick series or I use a lot of color.
And you prefer abstract?
I do.
And what was the term you used earlier?
Abstract and natural design. That's on my business card. It's who I am. Susan Brown, SB Studios.
Been doing artwork since what, you were a kid, or how long would you say?
My whole life.
Your entire life?
Yes.
Did you always have a love for art?
Always. Yes. In fact, in school, I would be sketching, listening to the teacher, and I would be sketching, and then I would look down at it later, and there'd be a person or people. I had no idea what I was doing. The pencil was just moving, and that's how I paint. I don't know what I'm painting. I get out a canvas, I grab some color, and it just comes alive. I start with a knife, and then a sky shows up, and people show up. Sometimes they go away, they return. It has a lot to do with the energy in the gallery. If somebody comes in, like we had a sea captain come in at one time, a lady that, had her own crabbing vessel, and after she was here for 2 days, there it is, under the moonlight, Cast Your Dreams. That's one of my paintings I have outside.
And you get a lot of different people coming here, and they have a lot of different tastes in art. Is that correct?
Oh, yeah.
What do you usually encounter with the people that come here? I mean, I've heard they come from pretty much everywhere.
They do. I do a lot of Southwestern type art for people that live here, but we've been known to do, it just depends. It just depends on the energy. As hard as that is to understand, it depends on the people who show up. Because the painting can change. I can be on the sidewalk, and somebody comes in, and I start out doing one thing, and it's just like looking away, and the next thing I know, if it's a brick series, or the bricks come in, and it can turn into a water scene. It just depends.
So you just paint with how you feel?
Always.
And it can change?
Oh yeah, always. And sometimes I'll work on a painting for 2 years, and sometimes I'll do it in 15 minutes. Or I'll have one that's been sitting for 2 years, and a day shows up, I grab some paint, and in 5 minutes it's finished. But maybe it sat there for 2 years, in a stack somewhere. I do that too. It just it all comes together at a certain time. But yeah, there's no explanation for it really. You get people from California, Prescott. This is a main drag for that sort of thing. And Phoenix, people just looking at old motels. And then they repeat people. They come back year after year. We have people from Italy, everywhere. So that's kind of, it's special. This is a special place.
And when it gets really hot, you end up going north.
I do. I leave in April every year and return in late October.
And where do you end up?
I go to Central Oregon.
Around Madras, right?
Right. Yeah. I have a ranch there that I've had for 34 years. I raise quarter horses and paints. We don't breed horses on the scale we did 30 years ago. We're down to 1 or 2 a year instead of 10, or 15, like we were years and years ago. But yeah, that's what I do. I give riding lessons to little kids and adults and people that in therapy, all the different types of people. But it's like flipping a switch. When I leave here, I have to get busy. It's my real life. I call that my real life. This is my play life.
Okay, Aria Powell does freeform pottery. These are her pieces. And a couple of the pieces on the sideboard are hers. Over on that wall, we have more of Aria's. Next to it on the shelf, those are Rhonda Miller pottery pieces. Another freeform artist. Here on this wall, we have Cicely's art. These are reverse painted glass. So she treats the glass so that it will hold the paint, paints on it, but she paints it backwards so when she flips the picture, we're looking at what she has painted. Barb does glass and tile mosaic. Incredible little teeny tiny pieces of glass. We have a roadrunner, a gecko, a wall piece, the gazing ball. Those are all by Barb. Glass is done by PJ, and other artists have done the glass work. Moving into this room, this is a mixture of antique, vintage, and has been found all over the place and brought to the courtyard. We've got Western, Southwest, vintage kitchen, pottery, Pyrex, Mexican folk art. This room is a little bit of everything. This room is Jack and Denise Milinovich. Denise does ledger paintings, and the ledger she uses is an old railroad ledger that's big and thick, and so she takes pages from the ledger and paints on them. Denise is Native American herself. Her husband Jack does all of the wood, and he does kaleidoscopes. He paints his own, but Denise helps him pick out the colors. She's got an eye for colors. The other thing Jack does is fracking. Fracking is what's on these pieces that look like weird little jaggedy branches. That's all done with electricity. It's very dangerous. Nobody should ever try to do that unless they really know what they're doing, because people have killed themselves, electrocuted themselves, trying to do that to different pieces of wood. It takes a lot of skill. Not something everyone should be able to do. Then he also does beautiful woodwork inlaid with gems, fossils. Another room, we call this our frou-frou room. It's kind of the girly room. Again, a little bit of everything from hats, boots, purses, clothing. Cantha blankets. One of the artists in this room is named Shar, and she does cactus paintings. Those and these on this wall over here are all by Shar. You can buy them framed, or you can buy the unframed pieces. Another artist makes our cowboy hats.
You don't have to worry about shelling yourself short here. This place has lots of cool stuff. It's time for a drink. I hope you enjoyed exploring the Courtyard Gallery with me and meeting a couple of the artists. Don't forget to give me a like on the video, share, and subscribe. Until next time, this is Rockhopper. I'll see ya.